there's a deep connection between money as an instrument of change and what you're doing now at Social Capital.
Look, here's the thing. There's about 150 people that run the world. Anybody who wants to go into politics, they're all fucking puppets, okay? There are 150, and they're all men, that run the world, period, full stop. They control most of the important assets. They control the money flows. And these are not the tech entrepreneurs. Now, they are going to get rolled over the next 5 to 10 years by the people that are really underneath pulling the strings. And when you get behind the curtain and see how that world works, what you realize is it is unfairly set up for them and their progeny. Now, I'm not going to say that that's something that we can rip apart, but first order of business is I want to break through and be at that table. That's the first order of business. And the way that I do that is by proving that I can do what they do as well as they do it. And then do it better than how they do it. Because at the end of the day, they are commercial fucking animals. Okay? And they'll open the door out of curiosity and they'll let me stay because I add value. And then once I'm there, I can open the door for other people who can try to do the same thing. So my entire goal now is to be in a position to aggregate enough of the capital of the world to then reallocate it against my worldview. And I'm not saying my worldview is the best or right, but it is mine. And at the end of the day, there are 150 other fucking guys with their worldview, and they don't give a shit what you think about their fucking worldview. That's the truth. And so why not me? Why not? Why not one of you? Why not? And so in my life now, I'm just kind of like, why not? Why the fuck not?
Can you tell us a little, so you have these 50-year goals for Social Capital.
Yeah.
3 of them.
Yeah.
Can you give us your worldview through those goals?
So my 2045 ambition for the organization, this is as I see it right now, 2045, is I would like us to employ at least 10 million people through the businesses that we own. I would like our businesses to positively affect at least 1/4 of the world's population. And I would like us to have made cumulatively about $1 trillion. That's my 2045 ambition. I think if we do that, we are the modern face of capitalism for the next 50 years. So how we do that now becomes really important. So if you think about building businesses today that could do any of those 3 things, you have to be technological. You absolutely just have to be. You are not going to build a brick and mortar business that gets anywhere close to those 3 things, number 1. Number 2 is you have to think very broadly about building things that can stand the test of time. Those businesses are by definition hard and non-obvious. And so they compound in scale very slowly. And that's really counterintuitive to the overriding logic of Silicon Valley, which says quick, fast, go, right? But that kind of premature ejaculation doesn't work if you're trying to fucking be around forever. Like, you gotta be in the flow for decades. That is hard. It tests people's patience. It tests people's resolve. It tests people's really intellectual incision. And this is where everybody gives up. Everybody gives up. I had this moment today, just a total different way of describing this. Through the Warriors, I've met a lot of players, obviously. One of them who I've become unbelievably close to is David Lee. David Lee just got engaged to this unbelievable woman, Caroline Wozniacki, tennis player. Anyways, we were working out this morning, okay? Couples workout, me and my wife, him and his fiance. So we're doing this thing, this treadmill thing, which my trainer concocted. And I'm in pretty good shape. And then you see what it really means to be extremely dedicated, in their case, to something which is physical fitness, because they're professional athletes. When I give up, right, when the average human gives up, their brain goes into fucking overdrive, okay? And they're like, there's this next level burst. And so, like, it's that. Yeah. It's like when things get hard, can you double down? A different example, we had yesterday, we do these things every quarter called quarterly portfolio reviews, where incredibly intensive review of our entire portfolio, revisiting our strategy, talking about all the things we're doing to make sure we're on the right track. And I had this observation, which was, I started a diabetes business. My dad died of diabetes 3 years ago. Most of my relatives have it. I express the gene that makes me disproportionately susceptible to it. So it's something that I personally care about. But that business took 7 years to get to a place where we even have a chance of being viable. And I think to myself, in that example, I embodied a bit of Caroline Wozniacki. When things got hard, I pushed through the pain. Now, in my case, the pain was the fear of failure, continuing to write more money, a belief that I had that this business was going to work. And today that business manages 1 million diabetics. And I think there is some kid out there whose family will be slightly less dysfunctional because their parents' disease is better managed. It's not going to go to a place where, like, they're getting dialyzed or, they're on an organ registry. And that value for that kid in our world and all of you that benefits will never be connected the dots, but that's okay. But it required just resilience. And I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
And so I want to bring back a little bit of that here so that it's not quick, fast, 5 million users, 10 million now, flip it, sell it, great, celebrate. It's like, hey, let's work on some hard shit together. Let's like buckle down and look each other in the eye and say, we're going to support each other here. This is going to take 7 or 8 years. But if it works, it will really mean something. And it's something that matters to you for something that's other than just simple motivation of the social capital you get from your friends or money in the short term and winning bigger, longer term. We're missing that, and I think like part of our success will be if we can stay focused on that. Our education portfolio is another thing. It literally looked like a train wreck for 3 years, where everybody has always said you never invest in education. And my thing was, it's not about education. This is about human capital development. It's about, for every one of you who's so smart that got into Stanford, think of all the people who could be as capable. I'm not asking you to empathize with them, but I, as a capitalist, want a starting line where all of those people can run a race so that I can pick the winner. No offense to any of you here. And it took us 3 years where now those building blocks exist, and I'm like, wow. How many times did I have to look at my partners and say, no, the easy answer is to walk away, the hard answer is to double down, we have to support this business. That culture is missing here. So part of what we're trying to do to achieve those goals is like, take really big, audacious points of view on the world, and then train ourselves to be patient. And it's really, really hard. The entire society is set up to not be patient anymore.
What do you want these future business leaders to do about it once they get into that spot?
Get the money. Get the money, and then let's get around a table and let's create new rules. Literally that simple. Get the fucking money. I'm serious. Do not get it. It is going to be made. It is going to be allocated. And you have a moral imperative to make sure that if you have a point of view that matters and you want to reflect it, you get it. I'm going to go get it. Other people are going to go get it. And then it will be about a competition of views. And don't wrap yourself in all this like, liberal kind of bullshit about like, oh my God, money, blah. No, stop. Here's how the fucking world works, okay? It drives the world for better or for worse. Economic incentives drive entire swaths of populations to behave in very, very predictable, and then when you take it away, unpredictable ways. Ask anybody in your class that's from a developing nation. Ask anybody in your class who has seen that play out from where they're from. So that's what you have to do. You got to go and get it. If you control the capital and you have a point of view, you can now, then the question is, don't be a sellout. Whatever your worldview is, you should be spending time to think about what that is, so that when you control some of these purse strings, you push that view into the world. I will never judge you, and you should not judge me for what that worldview is. But the point is, the more diversity of those views, the more rational actors we have, and the more of a balanced, fair system. That is what diversity really means to me. It doesn't mean let's manage back to a quota, You know, it doesn't mean like, okay, we need a black guy, a brown guy, we need a few, that's not what it means. This is what it means, right? There are people in this audience that have probably dealt with the same kind of like life that I've dealt with. You have a very unique worldview that matters. And in the absence of capital, you're irrelevant. With capital, you're powerful. And then you decide. In small ways, in medium-sized ways, in large ways, right? It just depends on the scale of capital that you have. And so that's what's necessary now in capitalism, which is that we have to come back to like, what is it really? Is it an economic system? Yes, but it is a philosophy as well, right? And it's a philosophy that says we will vote for the change we intend based on the views that we have. And when you look at the most successful people that operate in these tentacles, that's what they do. Look at the Koch brothers. That's what they do. They have built a network of influence based on capital. Their worldview is propagated into the world at an unbelievably aggressive rate that has been compounding for decades. That is genius. It is genius. It doesn't matter whether you agree with their worldview. The question is, what's the counterweight to their worldview? Can you name one? Can you name a group of people that operate in the exact same way, methodically, meticulously assembling capital, influence, assets, who believe the opposite? Irrespective of what you think of the Kochs, you want both views out in the world, at scale. Well, right now you have this and you don't have this. And there are many examples of that. And so get the money and don't lose your moral compass when you do. So I don't want to be one of those people that stumble into a company and look back and like, oh yeah, we were geniuses. I want us to be systematic. And I want us to be able to deploy tools and capabilities that get us closer and closer to that. And that is what, if you're again a traditionalist, freaks you out.
And that's what allows you to make these much longer term commitments to businesses that are going to address healthcare, education.
Well, no, that's just because I'm rich. But no, I mean, just to be honest, like I don't need anybody else's money. That's like, look, this is not like a popular view. So the first fucking $1 billion was mine. And then I had to prove it. And then other people glom on. But I mean, many of them started by caring. But I suspect over time, if we end up with 100, 200, 500 $billion, how much of that last 50, 60% really care? That's okay. I want the fucking money. I will play the goddamn game and I'll win. Because I want the money. Because I want to extend my influence. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They want to return. It's fine.
Yeah. He wants the money.
Because I want to win. I so deeply want to win.
How, I'm just going to say this exactly as it's coming, how do you keep that power from corrupting you?
I have no idea. That's the honest answer. I have no idea. I've become increasingly isolated. It's harder and harder for me to connect because I'm so in my own mind. Like, how does this all play out? You know, how do I fundraise? How do I help facilitate good investing decisions, which really means how do I help this great team think about a more platformized approach? And in that, I just get really isolated. And so I don't have a good answer. I like things like this, and I like to say the things that I do, and maybe it helps you in your own lives. But to be honest, it's very selfish. It helps me. Because like it reminds me of when I'm in a place like it reminds me of these stories, like just reminding myself, like I made $4.55 an hour at Burger King. I would get a $50 check and I'd buy bus passes. That's awesome. I don't ever want to forget that. And I'll go months and not remember that. But now as I say it, I'm like, okay, I start as a good, earnest person, and I need to stay a good, earnest person. So I don't have a good answer. And I'll tell you, of those 150 people, maybe it's a little bit more, but I've met a lot of them. It's really hard. It's very easy to end up